Hey designers! Renee here with a new Illustrator tutorial. We'll be creating a playbill poster advertising a performance of Romeo and Juliet. We use lots of fun fonts and ornaments, plus we'll get a look at using Illustrator's text wrap option. Download freebies for this tutorial at designcuts.com. Open Illustrator and go to File, New. In the New Document dialog box, name your file, change your units to inches, then enter a width of 18 and a height of 24. Plus we'll add a 0.125 inch bleed to all sides. Press OK when you're done. Open your Layers palette and double-click the existing layer to rename it to Background. Select your Rectangle tool and click once on the artboard. In the dialog box that opens, enter a width of 18.25 inches and a height of 24.25 inches. Open your swatch palette and select the default Photoshop Dark Red. In your Align palette, under Align Objects, click on the Horizontal Align Center and Vertical Align Center icons. And that's it for our background layer. Lock the layer by clicking in the empty square to the left of the layer name. Now create a new layer and name it Romeo Juliet. Select your Type tool and click once on the artboard and type OMEO. Then open your character palette and change the font to The Secret Regular at 310 point. Hold down Shift while clicking and dragging down on the text to make a copy. Select the copied text and type Juliet. Select your Move tool and hold down Shift to select both, then change the color to white in your swatch palette. We're going to create a decorative swoosh at the end of Juliet. Open your Glyphs palette by going to Window, Type, Glyphs. Click once at the end of Juliet, then double-click the swirly swoosh in the Glyphs palette. As you can see, our T doesn't connect, so we'll select the T, choose Alternates for current selection, and double-click the alternate T. Select your Type tool and click once on the artboard. Type a capital R. Change the color to white, then change the font to Naive Fantasies. And position it to make Romeo. I tried bold weight first, but changed to medium for a more balanced look. With your Type tool again, click once on the artboard and type an ampersand. Change the color to white and the font to Storyteller Script Regular at 220 point. Position the ampersand below Romeo and slightly above and to the left of Juliet. We'll add a little extra decoration now. Press Command A to select all, then press Command C to copy. Go to Object Lock to lock the existing selection. Press Command F to paste our copied text in the exact same place. Now press Command Shift O to outline the text, or go to Type, Create Outlines. We'll move our outline text to the left by going to Object Transform Move and entering a horizontal position of -0.16 in the pop-up dialog box and clicking OK. In your color palette, change the color of the selection to the lightest default orange. Press Command F to paste a new copy of the text and Command Shift O to outline the new copy. Open your stroke palette and enter a weight of 14 point. Next to Cap and Join, choose the middle icons for rounded caps and rounded corners. Now go to Object, Path, Outline, Stroke. This will outline our stroke so we can create a shape with it. Open your Pathfinder palette and click the first option in Shape Modes, Unite. This will create one single shape out of our entire selected piece. Although we've united all of the shapes, the shape is still made up of multiple paths. To have it act as one single piece, we need to create a compound path. To do that, you have to first ungroup any groups in the selection. I usually press Command Shift G several times to ungroup any possible groups. Then press Command 8 to create a compound path, or go to Object Compound Path Make. Now we'll repeat the process for our orange text. Ungroup, then go to Object Compound Path Make. Now that both of our pieces are compound paths, we can subtract one from the other. Select both, then in your Pathfinder palette, click click -front under shape modes. It can be a little tricky at first, but you'll find that most of your issues when trying to use Pathfinder can be solved by ungrouping and creating compound paths. Create a new layer and name it Main Content. Drag this layer below Romeo Juliet, then lock the Romeo Juliet layer. Use the Type tool to type William Shakespeare's. Change the font to Maxwell Slab Book at 48 point. Change the color to white and position it just above Romeo. Now open the Vector Freebies file. Copy the larger of the two leafy branch vectors by selecting it with your Move tool and pressing Command C. Paste it into our main layout file with Command V. Go to Object Transform Scale and enter a uniform scale of 170%, then press OK. Now go to Object Transform Rotate and enter an angle of 162 degrees. Press OK. Position just below Romeo, and in your color palette, change the color to a darker red than our background. I'm using CMYK values of 15, 100, 90, 50. Now open your swatch palette and click the new swatch icon to add the dark red. We'll use this again several times. Back in the freebie file, copy the smaller leafy branch and paste it onto the main layout. Go to Object, Transform Rotate, and enter an angle of 45 degrees. Next, we'll go to Object Transform Scale and enter a uniform scale of 160%. Move the branch above the T in Juliet, then change the color to dark red. This is a love story, so we're going to need some hearts. Copy the heart from the freebies file and paste it into the layout. Go to Object, Transform Scale, and enter a uniform scale of 140%, then press OK. Position the heart below the R in Romeo and to the left of the ampersand. Change the color to the same orange we used earlier. Hold Option and click and drag down on the heart to make a copy. Position the copy just below the first heart and to the right a little. Use the corner handles to rotate the heart to the right. Now we'll add our theater and playdate info. Select your Type tool and click once on the artboard. Type the Royal Verona Theatre, a bullet point, March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2016, another bullet point, and then doors 5 p.m. On a Mac, bullet points can be created by pressing Option 8. On a PC, you'll need to open your Glyphs palette and find the bullet point. And then double-click to add it. We'll change our color to white and our font size to 55 point. Position roughly at the bottom of the artboard. Center it horizontally using Horizontal Align Center in the Align palette. We'll perfect our positioning later. Next, we'll create borders at the top and bottom. Click once on the artboard with your Type tool and type PP-. Trust me. Make sure you've installed the Jabana Extras divider font provided in the freebies folder. Go to your character palette and change the font to Jabana Extras Divider. In your swatch palette, change the color to orange, and then change the font size to 100 point. Use your Type tool to click once at the end of the sentence and add one more P plus 5 hyphens. Position the partial border at the very top of the artboard and so that it sticks out just past Romeo on the left. Then go to Object, Transform Reflect, select Vertical, and click Copy. Select the copy with your Move tool and drag it to the right while holding down Shift to stay on the same horizontal axis. It should be the same distance from the right side as the first border from the left. In the Vector Freebies file, copy the ornament with 3 diamonds. paste it into the main layout file, and position it at the top of the artboard between the border sections we just created. Click Horizontal Align Center to center on the artboard. Then go to Object, Transform Scale, and change the Uniform Scale to 200%. Manually line the top of the ornament up with the top border sections. I'm going to make it just a little larger using the corner handles. Then change the color to orange. Now we'll create a copy of our top border for the bottom. Drag your Move tool across all three selections to select them. Go to Object, Transform, Reflect. Choose Horizontal in the pop-up dialog and click Copy. Then go to Object, Transform, Move. Enter a vertical position of 21.75 inches. And press OK. Back in the Freebies vector file, copy the long string of banners and paste it into the main layout file. Go to Object, Transform Scale, and enter a uniform scale of 200%. Position at the very bottom of the artboard, below the bottom border section. This is a great time to make minor adjustments to the positioning of our bottom borders and theater info. Then we'll change our banner color to orange. Now we'll add some copy to our banners. It will be small and subtle, but a nice detail. Zoom in on the banner, select your Type tool and click once on the artboard. Type A. Change the font to Noi a Cafe Press 1 at 26 point. Position it right in the middle of the banner on the far left. Use the Move tool to click on the A, hold Option Shift, and drag to the right to copy it. Use your Type tools to select the copied A and type Love. In the character palette, change the tracking, the space between letters, to 3065. Skip the banner directly to the right of A and place the L in Love in the next banner over. Copy Love by using the Move tool again to click and drag Love to the right while holding Shift and Option. Change the letters to Story, and we'll need to adjust our tracking a little bit to 3088. As before, we'll skip a banner and position the S in Story in the next banner over. Now we'll place tiny flowers in the two empty banners. In the Freebies vector file, copy the little 6-petaled flower and paste it into the main layout. Position it in the first empty banner. Go to Object, Transform Scale, and enter a uniform scale of 45%, then click OK. Change the color to dark red. Now we'll use the exact same copy process, holding Option Shift and dragging to the right to copy the tiny flower to the second empty banner. Now I'm going to unlock my Romeo Juliet layer and select my entire title piece to readjust it up a bit. And then I'll relock the layer when I'm done. Now select your Move tool and hold Shift to select multiple items at once. We'll select the top and bottom borders, the line of banners, and the two leafy branches. Press Command C to copy. Lock the main content layer, then create a new layer and change the name to Color Fills. Drag the layer below main content. Press Command F to paste in place on the Color Fills layer. Now we'll outline everything by going to Type, Create Outlines. We want the empty spaces of our vectors. To get that, we'll delete the outside paths, leaving only the inner paths. Select your Group Selection tool. Zoom into your top border. Click once on the outermost path of the diamond sections. Then press Delete to delete it and leave just our inner path. Work your way across the top border, deleting outer paths to reveal inner paths. For the solid line sections, just select and delete, since they don't have inner paths. Now we'll change the colors. Select the inner path and ungroup twice by going to Object, Ungroup, and then Object, Ungroup again. Use your Group Select tool to select the far left diamonds. And in your color palette, change the color to 90, 30, 95, 40, a dark green. Open your swatches palette and click the new swatch icon to add it to our swatches. Select the next 3 diamonds and change them to dark red. We want to make the middle diamond a brighter red, but won't be able to until we separate it from the other 2 diamonds. To do this, use your Group Select tool to select just the larger middle diamond, press Command C to copy, then press Delete. Press Command F to paste it in place. Now we can change the color of just the middle diamond to the standard bright red in the swatches palette. For the middle ornament, we'll make the 2 smaller diamonds dark green and the larger middle diamond bright red. Again, you'll need to select just the middle diamond, copy it, delete it, and paste in place before changing it to red. Work your way across the top border, adding the individual colors. Next, select the outermost path of the large leafy branch with the Direct Select tool. Press Delete to leave behind only the inner paths. Repeat the same process on the small leafy branch. Now use your Move tool to select the color fills for the top border. Then go to Object, Transform Reflect, and choose Horizontal, then press Copy. Hold Shift and drag the copy down to the bottom border. Zoom in to get your placement right within the bottom border sections. Next, we'll repeat the process of deleting outer paths on the banner at the bottom. Just like the top border, the line sections will just be deleted since they have no inner path. Select the color fills for the bottom banners and change them to bright red. Now select your branch color fills and change those to dark green. I had turned off visibility to the Romeo Juliet and main content layers earlier so we could see our color fills better. Now we can turn those back on and see the end result. In your freebie vector file, copy the 2 flags and paste them onto the main layout file. Go to Object, Transform Scale, and enter a uniform scale of 320%. Then click OK. In your swatches palette, change the color to dark red. Go to Object, Ungroup, then select just the right flag with your Move tool, and go to Object, Transform Rotate. Enter an angle of -5 degrees and click OK. Now we need to lengthen the pole on the right flag a bit. Select your Direct Select tool and drag across the bottom section of the pole. Then use the Direct Select tool to click and drag the section downward until it's just below the bottom of the other flagpole. Don't change the angle though. Photoshop makes it pretty easy to stay on the same angle as you drag out. Position the flags in the big empty spot in the middle of the bottom of the poster and use your Align palette to center it horizontally on the artboard. We want to add one more color fill for the left flag. This time, instead of copying the whole thing and deleting outer paths, we'll only copy the inner paths to start with. Select your Group Select tool and click on the inner paths of the flag. Hold Shift while selecting to select both inner paths at the same time. Press Command C to copy. Unlock the main content layer, then use your Move tool to select both flags and move them by dragging the blue dot to the right of the layer up to the main content layer. Select the Color Fills layer and press Command F, then change the color to orange. Now let's add names to our flags. Lock your color fills layer and select the main content layer. Select your pen tool and click once at the left bottom of the flag area to create your first point. Then click in the middle bottom of the flag and drag to the right to create a curve. Finally, click once to add a point on the bottom right of the flag area. To make adjustments to the curves, hold Option while clicking on a point and dragging out with your mouse. On the flyout menu of the Type tool, select your Type on a Path tool. Click once on the path we've just made and type Montague. Change the font to Naive Bold at 40 point and the color to dark red. Change your tracking to 0. Now go to Effect, Warp, and choose Arc. Enter a bend of -6%, choose Vertical, and click OK. Now we'll repeat this process on the right side. Select your pen tool and click once for each of the 3 points. Select the Type on a Path tool and click on the path we just created. Type Capulet in Naive Bold at 40 point and change the color to orange. Go to Effect, Warp, Arc, and enter a bend of +6% vertical, then click OK. Reposition as needed on the flag. For our last bit of ornamentation, we'll add a rose. In the Freebies file, copy the rose and paste it into the main layout file on the main content layer. Change the color of the rose to dark red and position it between the flagpoles. Now lock the main content layer and create a new layer and name it Wrapped Text. Drag this layer just above the background layer. Use your Type tool to click in the top left corner of the artboard, just below the border, and drag down and to the right side to create a text box. Stop just above the theater info. The left and right sides of the text box should line up with the left and right side of the title. I've selected the opening monologue from the play as our background text since it gives a nice synopsis of the story. I've replaced line breaks with ellipses and paragraph breaks with double ellipses since I want my words to flow across the text box without line breaks. Change the font to Storyteller Serif Contrast at 48 point. In your paragraph palette, choose Justify with last line aligned left, then change the color to bright red. I'm going to turn off visibility to the other layers so we can see better what we're doing. Next, we'll select some keywords and phrases and change the font. Each time, we'll adjust the font size if needed to keep everything approximately the same size visually. Have fun with it and try to use a font that expresses the feelings behind the words. Now I've just noticed that all caps was on, so I'm using the flyout menu in my character palette to turn it off. Then I'll select Verona and change it to Storyteller Script. Scene, I will change to Love Letter. I'll increase the font size to 72 point. I'm going to change the tracking to 40 point so it doesn't bump our line down. And then as you can see, it's shifted way up, so I'm going to use my baseline shift and enter -22 points. Next, I'll change Ancient Grudge to Stone Harbor Regular, New Mutiny to Jubana Bold at 80 point. That also bumps down our line, so I'll add a leading of 54. Civil Blood will be Naive Bold. And then I'll select Civil Hands and use my eyedropper to grab the same style from Civil Blood. Unclean will be Noi A Cafe Press 1. Two Foes will be Revista Black. Star-Crossed Lovers will be Love Letter Script at 56 point with a leading of 40. Life will be Stone Harbor at 43 point. Strife will be Noi Press 1. Death Marked Love, Storyteller Script at 40 point. And lastly, I'll change Rage to Stone Harbor. In your paragraph palette, make sure to turn off Hyphenate. Now we'll create the shapes we want the words to wrap around. You can turn on all your layers. Make sure you have the wrapped text layer selected. Select your pen tool and add points to create a rough shape around Romeo and Juliet. Hold Shift as you add points to maintain straight lines wherever needed. After adding your last point, click on the first point to close the path. This path really doesn't need to be perfect, it's just a rough area. Choose no foreground color, then go to Object, Text Wrap Options, and enter an offset of 6 point in the pop-up dialog. Then go to Object, Text Wrap, Make. Your text should automatically move out of the area we've drawn our shape around. Now we'll do something similar for the flags. Unlock the main content layer and copy the two flags. Lock the main content layer, select the wrap text layer, then paste in place by pressing Command F. I'm going to add a little more padding to the flags by adding a stroke. Open your stroke palette and enter a weight of 20 point. Go to Object, Path, Outline Strokes. Then in your Pathfinder palette, click the first shape mode icon, Unite. Next, we'll turn off the foreground color and go to Object, Text Wrap, Make. Now I'll just make a few minor adjustments to get things a little further away from the background words. For our last step, we'll go back to our Freebies vector file and select the small arrow and copy it. Paste it onto the main layout file and line up the right side with the right side of the copy. Now I'm putting this right after my last word, just to fill in a little extra space that's left. You may end up with no space at the end, or a lot more space. Just fill it in with ornaments and have some fun with it. And we're done! We have a striking Shakespearean playbill. I don't know about you, but I had way more fun creating this playbill than I probably should have for such a tragic story. Whether it's your outcome for this tutorial or something new, head over to our Facebook page and share it with us. We'd love to see what you're doing. Let us know what you think in the comments below and give us a thumbs up if you liked the tutorial. Subscribe to our new YouTube channel at youtube.com/designcuts to get more video tutorials and regular updates, or visit us at designcuts.com. Thanks for watching. Till next time.